in, please sign in, and if you're gonna stay for the budget hearing, either sign in now or after the select board meeting, and then we'll have a count for everyone that's here for the budget meeting. So we always start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, so Peter, don't sit down yet. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I must be like the mean teacher because no one is in the front row.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
I don't get it.
I wouldn't take it personally.
We've heard about you guys.
All right. We have the meeting minutes from the non-public, and that is from January 28th, 2025. We are just making a motion to keep those sealed, and I'll make that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we signed those after the meeting last time. And any questions or comments on the regular meeting minutes from January 28th?
No.
Good.
Motion to
I'll make
approve?
a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes from the January 28th meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And while you're signing, thank you for the great minutes on this and all the detail, Betsy. And any questions or comments on the changes for the budget hearing minutes?
I don't think so.
I don't have any.
Motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the budget hearing minutes, the first budget hearing meetings of January 28, 2025.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sign here. Betsy, you did such a good job of typing in every one of those numbers. Copy paste?
That was a great way to do the minutes.
Yes, I agree. All right, so our first issue here, or discussion item here, is Black Mountain parking. So we're really excited that you have had so many cars in the parking lot, which means that skiing has been really good and people are up on Black Mountain. A quick recap of what happened. I guess there was a very busy weekend, parking was overflowed, and some tickets were issued. So Eric Mogensen, you're here as the manager, general manager up at Black Mountain, and talk to me about what you would like to discuss.
Awesome, thanks for having us. Barbara, Frank, hi.
Hey.
Feel free to come up.
Yeah, if you
I'll come up.
since we
I'll
record
up front.
up front, and it just makes it a little easier for our recording to hear.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, this is much more personal now.
Yes,
Here we are,
yeah.
closer.
Hey, join us at the table if you want.
First of all, I wasn't in town, I was out of town, I had to be in Asia, and obviously I heard about the parking tickets. I think our first point is that the feedback from the guests was that they didn't know they weren't allowed to park there, right? And obviously that kind of comes back to Black, for sure, as a team to potentially say no parking and those type of things. We'll say it's extremely difficult to manage. If you blink, one person parks someplace, and the minute one person does it, kaboom, it's done. So I think that was challenging. I think also the issue around, obviously there's a parking ban in town during the winter, we know that now, right? But I think there's a lot of people that were used to kind of parking across from the Wildcat, and there's specific signage where you're supposed to park, when you're not supposed to park, what you're supposed to do. I think people were just overflowing. So personally, I was disappointed with not having a phone call to Alex or Doug or really anyone else. And the wording, the biggest feedback we've gotten from the people that got tickets was the wording on the ticket. And it just felt really difficult for a lot of people. So I think we can definitely share some of those messages. A lot of people had reached out to us individually, which got to me. And then at that point, we tried to pay those tickets and we couldn't pay the tickets directly, and I understand why. And we didn't know everyone that had gotten the ticket, and so, it was an opportunity for us to reach out and make a statement, and we did that. So I I think a couple pieces. One is looking back at what happened, and then I think the next piece is looking forward. So I don't know if you want to chat a little bit more about what happened
Yep.
before we move forward.
So I know Chief Purley and Sergeant Mosier are both here, but two things I heard right away are communication and wording. So and communication meaning communication between Black Mountain and the police department, and communication between your folks that come to ski at Black Mountain. So whether it's communication on where parking is and isn't allowed, I think that's really important, and if we can help that, we will. The other thing is the wording on the tickets, and you guys can speak to that off cycle here, because I don't know that that's something that we all need to hash out, but I guess I'd like to hear from Chief Purley or Mike, since I think you were on duty that day.
As far as, I don't really understand what he means by the wording of the ticket. It's a little box that says improper parking, because it was improper parking. You can't, these are vehicles that were literally parked in the street, impacting the intersection of Black Mountain Road and Dundee Road, Black Mountain proper and Dundee Road.
Okay.
So there were 6 cars. There's no signage there, but there's no signage in the entire town other than the winter parking ban, which these were not violations of winter parking ban. These were violations of parking in a no parking area and also parking in the street. So the town of Jackson, as you know, has a parking ordinance, and it's entitled winter ban. However, it's really the parking ordinance that encompasses all parking. There's designated lawful parking in town-owned properties, as well as on Main Street here. All other parking has to be completely off the roadway and not impacting traffic. So in this particular case, those vehicles were impacting traffic because one is they were violating statutory law by being parked too close to an intersection, and two, violating statutory law for being in the travel portion of the roadway. There really is, so for instance, if it was summertime and somebody wanted to park on Carter Notch Road and go take a dip, and they're completely off the road, that's not a violation of the law, even though that's not a designated parking area, because the ordinance allows for parking, non-winter ban parking, as long as it's off the roadway and not impacting traffic. There's not enough room up there. The snowbanks literally come out to or past the white line, so it's pretty narrow and kind of, as we all know, the configuration. Like I said, the wording of the ticket is fairly innocuous. There's a menu and you check a box, and in this particular one, as opposed to like overtime or left next to curb, it just says improper parking. But like I said, there were 6 issued. One, I spoke to a woman who received one because you do have a due process right to complain, and then we take the complaints and we consider what they have to say. This woman called and said that while she was searching for parking in the parking lot, and again, as Eric and I have talked, this is the burden of success, the full parking lot, she asked the attendant, he says, well, I don't know, just look around and you can park wherever you want to. She kind of took that as it was okay to park there, which is clearly not a very focused message by Black to not park in the road. It's probably the opposite of that, because she said, well, we infer with that. And she acknowledged that in her town, you can't park on the street in the winter and so on. So we discounted the ticket, and she paid the balance, which, sometimes we do when they have some form of complaint. Not unlike at the falls, and what happened. Moving forward, signage would help. We do have some temporary signage that we trot out, usually February vacation, but the problem is we usually have to trot it out on Carter Notch Road in the area of Woodchuck because we get overflow there. So I don't know if we have enough. And here's the other problem. If we put the signage on, let's say, the mountainside of the roadway, then people will infer it's okay to park on the other side. So we do not have that much signage. We can maybe intersperse it and put it, some on the side, and then say, oh, well, there was nothing in between. But we deal with those things on a regular basis. As far as the offer and negotiation to pay the tickets by Black, as I told Eric, the Driver Privacy Act prohibits us from telling him who received these tickets, and there's no mechanism for him to pay, en masse the tickets, because we wouldn't know who to assign it to. And some people were in the process of paying them, and some of them they paid them, as did the woman there. So that was not really a workable solution from our end. And then, of course, the marketing component, you know, that's,
Right.
it is what it is. You know, we don't tell people what to write and how to talk, but it did kind of set up a heroes-villain dichotomy where it was suggested and inferred that we were punishing people for skiing at Black, and we weren't. We were fining people for unlawfully parking, which is a public safety matter. And I think that's the core of the apple is really, a parking ticket is not a fee, it's a fine. And we went through this at the falls regularly, especially in the
Yes.
pandemic, because people would say, oh, $25 to park the falls all day? No problem. It's
cheaper than
No,
Boston."
it's not,
Yeah.
it's not a fee, it's a fine followed by, we will tow your vehicle out of the residence parking
Right.
if you don't move your car. So, you know, they're not fees to be paid, they're fines to encourage proper behavior and discourage improper behavior. That was, you know, I mean, it remains to be seen what's gonna happen on the vacation week, but paying
So-
people's fines for conduct that's
Yeah.
not proper doesn't usually make the problem smaller.
Right.
But, you know, we hope that the problem's managed through clear messaging of the parking attendants, some more signage, and enforcement. You know, we cannot let that roadway get clogged up for public safety reasons.
Right, so that's, again, the communication, exactly what you're saying there. So you, two areas, not just you personally, but Black Mountain and the police department, and even the fire department if needed for access, need to work together before too long to make sure there's proper signage, proper education on your folks, all the staff. And then if it's extra patrol, I don't know, or if it's better communication between Eric or, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, the manager. Yep, so if you guys can communicate and say a phone call to say you've got 4 cars that are trying to park out here, how can we do this? I'm not gonna micromanage either of your jobs, but I wanna say I'm glad you're here because it means you're gonna talk to each other and work this out before vacation week. And the main thing, and you know, we look at the accident at Attitash, the last thing you want to do is not have the fire and rescue vehicles get there to save somebody on the mountain because they can't get through the road. And that's really the gist of this. We want Black to be successful, absolutely. I was disappointed as well in the social media use of that, but free speech. But again, communicating the right way, and we'll do everything we can to make your patrons happy as long as there's things that we can do. If more plowing can be done to make the roads a little more accessible, let's look at that as an option. But we're supposed to get 2 to 3 inches of snow for the next 5 days in a row. That makes it hard, and we're not gonna necessarily use our sources to go by Black Mountain to make it easier for people to park. But if there are things that we can suggest and say yes or no, anything that we can do to work together to make it easier for folks to ski there, we will. I just want it to be really a good relationship.
I agree, and I do think it is a good relationship. I have no
Okay.
issue with Chris, and we do communicate and those type of things.
Okay,
I think specifically Chris brought up that if they were parking enforcements, they were not the winter ban, it was a parking in no parking zone.
right,
Most of the tickets that I have copies of, it does have a menu, and it does, what is clicked as the winter parking ban.
Okay.
So I think there needs to be some clarity with the department there.
okay,
The specific language that says on the parking ticket is it says, please make payment within 5 days of issuance of ticket. Failure to remit within 5 days may result in the issuance of a summons and added fines. If you wish to plead not guilty and have a hearing, please submit your written request within 3 days. And that's very, very aggressive language.
but you know what, I believe
That's
that's
stat-
standard and
statutory.
statutory, and I don't think there's anything we can do about that. I'll let you two guys talk about the wording on that, but I don't think we have much wiggle room on that. But again, it's a fine, and if they have 3 days to call Chief Pearlie and report it, absolutely. I mean, I would be on it in a heartbeat. If I got a ticket, I'd be upset about it too, and I would call within 3 days. But it's something that is, you know, it's unexpected. I'm sure when you come back from a nice day of skiing, you don't want to see a citation on your vehicle, but it should be addressed and handled, so.
I think, you know, the language is obviously up to the town and what language that you guys want to use on your parking tickets. I think specifically to the social media, we could have been much more aggressive with the social media, and from our perspective, we toned it down. substantially. And I think we sent the right message. I think the message was well received. I think it's a great thing to step up and pay those tickets. Was not aware of any employee saying park wherever you want. I mean, that generally is not something that we would say. But again, I wasn't there. I was on the other side of the planet,
Right.
so I have no idea.
But, and again, well received to your team, but not well received to the police who received some negative comments. Bob, did you have some comments?
Well, I had two questions. The first one is for the chief. Are there, what is prohibiting us from having enough signage for February vacation week? Are these such specific signs that we can't get them made?
No, we would have to, we may have to buy more signs and we may have to buy more sticks. Because we've got probably 30 of them made up, but we also, I don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul, we have Carter Notch we have to worry about, which is traditionally a problem on February vacation.
Yeah,
So
so,
that is a solvable problem, February vacation in 2 weeks, maybe a solvable problem.
Okay.
because I remember using those. The life safety issue is how we ended up having that parking spot next to the road at the Doublehead Trailhead. And that's where we worked with Forest Service to actually change the location of the trailhead. And it was all because of those two words. It was a life safety. We got to the point where we were hearing from the fire chief as well as the police chief at the time that if there was something that happened at the end of that, at the house, for the house, at the end of that driveway, we couldn't get equipment in there, we couldn't get an ambulance in there, we would have a real problem. So that's what motivated us for that. And so we do understand that first and foremost, the roads are for public safety. And everybody agrees with that. I get that. But I would love to see if we could even, a sign on a stake in the snowbank
Yeah,
might
that's
be
what we
better than
use.
nothing. And if we have 30, why can't we get 30 more?
Oh, we have some, we gotta put them together, we don't have the grade stakes. So we
Okay.
gotta
Yeah.
go buy the grade stakes, put the signs on them, and whatever
Yeah.
our capacity is, I think we have some spares, and I don't know, if we have another 20 or so. Oh, we'll
That'd be
make some
great.
signs.
Yeah,
That's a solvable problem.
My second question is more for Eric. Is there a way to carve spots out? I know across the street where that road turns and equipment and materials tend to sit, every space is going to be very valuable for you. Is there a way that some of that could be relocated to claim a few more spaces?
Yeah, so moving the equipment in that space doesn't really do anything because we get a row in front of the equipment.
Yep.
And there's really not enough room to not park someone in. You're never going to get 3 rows. And there's no way because the creek's right there. So, I mean, we've looked at it. We've gone out and take drone footages. We've shot
Yeah.
the entire parking lot with GIS. We've pushed different ways. We've looked at whether we go this way or that way. We're definitely pushing out more snow and having more room. Parking's the limiting capacity of that place. And it's actually, it's not the worst thing in the world. Because if we had twice the amount of parking, then we'd have lift lines, we'd have a bathroom problem, we'd have the next issue.
Yeah.
So I don't think Black needs to double its parking to be successful. I do think what Black needs to do to be successful is provide a different and better experience than going to other places. And my main concern is the experience that was left with the customer because of the wording and because of the way it was done. I think there's an opportunity to give warnings versus tickets that say summons and those type of things within 5 days. And we truly didn't do it from a PR standpoint. We did not understand that it was going to blow up in this manner. We did it because it's the right thing to do, and that's why people want to come here. And the number one way to get people not to come back is to put a parking ticket on them or start towing vehicles or doing those things. I would love to ticket a lot of people in our parking lot. It amazes me what happens.
Right.
I mean, even today, I'm in the Snowcat trying to push out more space, and 2 people come and park behind me. And I just, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And parking is challenging. Nobody wants, we don't want to charge for parking. We don't want to do those type of things. But it is necessary. And look, I get the life safety pieces, I get that, but I also struggle, like every time I come around the corner at night at the Wildcat, I mean, that's the most dangerous spot in town. We've got people that are parked 4 feet on the other side of the white line, it's a state highway. Tell me how that works when we have what's going on up by us. At no point was the parking, or will the parking ever be a life safety issue at Black Mountain in terms of being able to get EMS and those type of things through.
Do you have a parking attendant, or do you have someone that's
Absolutely.
out, you have 1,
It's me
2,
now.
3? Yeah.
I am the director.
Well, yeah, the little.
I am now, I was out there last weekend every day, I'll be out there this weekend every day, and we're gonna put a really good system in place. We've ordered additional signage.
Great.
We've ordered a digital board.
Cool.
And, you know, we're gonna get it right.
Okay,
But, you know, for full transparency, this did blow up from a media standpoint. I've had a lot of press requests, which I've declined. And, you know, it was not a poke at the town.
it's a good way to learn, because this is year one of, you know, really trying to put Black Mountain back on the map in a big way. So the more, again, going back to the main word, the more communication there can be between all of the important folks, meaning the police chief, your management and team, and making sure that our safety equipment can get there, that's really where we want to go. We're not going to have a lot of select meetings in the near future because of budgeting and town meetings and stuff, so if you need us, we're here by just reaching out, but I think that you and Chief and Sergeant Mosier can work together, and if you guys need us, we're here, but let's just keep the lines of communication open. I understand that, you know, you want your patrons to be happy, I get it. If there's anything we can do to make that happen better, easier for you, just let us know. And maybe someday you'll be so big you'll need a bus to take people back and forth.
We looked for one.
You know, it's funny, for Carter Notch Road in the summer, with the parking by the falls, they're able to use a bullhorn type of thing that says parking, you know, you're parked illegally. You can't do that on the mountain, so it's hard to find somebody that's parked illegally and give them that opportunity to move their vehicle that it is, like it is at the falls and stuff. So if there are any suggestions or things like that that we can do to make things easier, we'll do it.
You've probably already thought about it, but I mean, and it would be on your property, but everybody that's parked on the road that got a ticket, walk down your driveway from probably 1 or 2 access points if there's signage there. You know,
Yes, no, we're gonna have a giant, I mean, you're gonna come around the corner and there's gonna be a sign that says no parking in roadway. You know, but we're gonna run with it. I mean,
Yeah.
the sign's gonna say no parking in roadway, because Eric's gonna have to buy your ticket, right? Like, I mean, it's an interesting thing, and look, we'll take every media exposure and everything that we possibly can up there that shows that we're trying to do the right thing and that we're reinventing the experience. You know, I don't want to buy parking tickets till the end of time. And I also, I mean, if I was the chief, I'd stop putting out parking tickets. I'd start towing people if they keep doing it. I mean, that's
Well, we
where you have to
also
be.
but we like to be the friendly town too. I mean, we don't like to have to give tickets, and we warn people as much as we can, and Chief will attest to that. He's not a revenue center when it comes to tickets, you know, really.
I was
He's,
just gonna say, I'm glad he's not that chief.
yeah. All right, anything else? I think we're good.
Thank you.
Like I said, we're always here for you guys. We want the success to be there, and we want to work together.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for
And you're not going to stay
both
for
of
the
you.
budget hearing?
I'm
Jeez.
not going to stay.
I'm kidding.
I'll let you guys do
All
that
right. You have to stay.
yourself. Advocate for parking signs.
All right, thanks. And we're getting more snow. That's a good thing.
Thanks, everybody. See you guys soon.
All right. Liquor license for Autumn Nomad Cafe. This is acknowledging that Jamie Melfi McConkey and her business entity Autumn Nomad LLC, as the owners, located at 18 Weird Mountain, wish to have beer, wine, and liquor served inside the cafe. I will make a motion to sign that authorization.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I go for the sandwiches, but. you.
It's just looking at the name.
All right, the next item was on last meeting, but we tabled it to get some clarification. So this is a change order for the Valley Crossroad Bridge having to do with the additional funds needed to finish the trusses, and that is net of some budget items that came under. So the increase in the change order is $114,529.26. And this change order being approved also extends this to be the final completion date of May 30th, 2025. Just a little bit more transparency on this. We have a note that we took out because we don't get reimbursed from the state until the project is complete. So this extension date could not go out too far because our note will be due. So this is by May 30th, 2025, and we can sign it after the DOT approves it. So do we make a motion today to approve it, they sign it, and then we, okay. So, so you can read the numbers here. The increase in the change order, 114. Yep, and extended to
$114,529.
May 30th.
Yep.
So I will make a motion to extend that and to approve this contract.
We don't have much choice, I'll make that,
Agree.
I'll second it, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And no signatures yet, because we're waiting for the state. Okay. Kathleen from the chamber.
She is going to move it to the next meeting.
Okay,
February
moving
25th.
that one to the next meeting. All right, so I'll make a motion to table the bench request.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're within through here. The next item is a violation notice, and this was sent to the owners of 25 Dana Place, and there was a parking issue at this short-term rental. The owner was notified, and they're making sure that her property maintenance team knows that there's parking limitations at their short-term rental. So are we going to make a motion to rescind this violation, or does it stay in her file? It stays in the file, but there are no dollars that change hands for first violation. So I'm glad the owner did respond to this, and hopefully we won't have any more problems with it. And then we still have pending violations on 65 Main Street and 82A Wentworth Hall. Those are still pending. All right. Room up front, folks. How awesome. Okay. So we have no new approved building or driveway permits. Do we have public comment on anything? Not yet? No hands, okay. I will, do you have anything else, Frank?
Nope.
All right.
Big show.
It is 4 o'clock. I will make a motion to adjourn the select board meeting and move into budget hearing